Well, what do we got here? So I finally got a white 5100 corn planter. Now, why have I wanted a white 5100 corn planter? I don't exactly know, other than you can put a splitter on them and plant beans with them, and they're a little bit cheaper than 7000 series John Deere's. I think that's why I wanted one. But either way, I got one, and it needs work like most things, but I bought it right enough that we can fix it and use it cheaper than I could have bought one that probably needed the same amount of work. This one needs a little bit more work because it is a wide row and I need to plant narrow rows, so we have to narrow it up, and that's gonna be, and that involves moving everything in. Row units, wheels, the hopper boxes can probably stay, the fertilizer units need moved, and the markers might need modified. And if you hear something screaming at me or growling at me from under the concrete, there has been some raccoons that have moved into a woodchuck hole. And the other day I was walking right through here and they let out fighting each other and scared the holy crap out of me. So you might hear them every once in a while in the background now until I catch them. But anyways, this corn planter needs a little bit of work. It was a barn find, I believe. Guy bought it probably dirt cheap and then monkeyed with it and then resold it when we bought it, kind of thing. So you can see we're missing some fertilizer row units there. One's completely missing and one's in here. So we gotta fix those. It needs narrowed up. The no-till cultures are wore out, and I have some new ones, well, new used ones that we're going to put on there and try. These are off of a disc chisel. I bought like 8 of these double units for 25 bucks. Hopefully they fit. If not, it's not too big of a deal because the blades for this are fairly cheap in comparison to buying them for the grain drill. Because I only have to buy 4, so got to get those. The openers are good. I went through and I checked them. None of them wiggle. They're not wore out yet. The gauge wheels, their bushings are wore out. You think they have bushings, but they wobble back and forth quite a bit up here where they connect. And I know you guys probably can't see what I'm pointing at, but that needs addressed. I think there's bushings in here, but you can see that woggles. They do not move side to side, so that's good. None of these row units move side to side at all. Just they tilt here and there. So that needs addressed. I have all the boxes. We'll probably put weight in the insecticide boxes if we need it. Probably have to get more down pressure springs for it. Hydraulic lines are missing their rubber, so we'll probably get all new hydraulic lines for it. We're going to get different closing wheels for it, because to me those are just a glorified gauge wheel. And we got to get tires that match. I have a tire that come with it that's flat. I think it matches this tire, but I need to find at least get the same size tire, if not get the right size tire for it, because this is what drives everything and helps control your population, I'm sure. So you want them even, so we might be getting new tires for it. And that's really about all it needs. It just needs narrowed up and gone through. It has a monitor. I have extra seed discs plates for it. The brushes, as far as I know, they're in good shape. I'll probably put new brushes in it anyways. I don't think they're very expensive. and got to figure out how to mount the PTO unit pump to the 4010, because this was set up for something else. I don't think it'll be too hard, but because I kind of just mocked it up there. My drawbar was upside down for one, and that wouldn't fit, so I'd have to have the drawbar flipped over. Oh, and I have to get the fertilizer augers for it. For now, I'll do dry fertilizer. I bought an auger to mount to a gravity wagon at an auction dirt cheap. Because after planting corn with the 494 a few years ago, when I bucketed out, that got old, so I bought that cheap at an auction to have. So we'll have to get that mounted up some point. Because we got 6 or 7 acres of corn to do with this year, and eventually I'd like to find a splitter unit for. I think for this corn planter I could get 3 or a 5, because it's got to be one higher or one lower, and I think for this it would be a 3. I don't think, because a 5 would go to a 6 based off of it would have to be a 3 for this, but eventually maybe get a splitter for it and I could do 15-inch beans. I did 14-inch beans before with my case drill, but now that we got the new one, no-till, it's set up for 8 inches, and I could block every other one off, but try planting soybeans once, see how that works. But I did had this hooked to the 4010, and it did raise up and down, and I did drag it through the dirt, but I didn't have that hooked up, so we still have to hook it up and see how it actually works, and if the seed monitor works and stuff like that. But hopefully we'll have it all done. I got to go through and get a parts list. I have to get all new openers for the fertilizer. They're wore out. The bearings aren't bad, but they're, at least I think they're wore out, because it looks like, you know, they should be way up into here, but they still touch, so maybe they're not wore out. But regardless, I'd like to get some new, because I don't know how this guy's in there. There's supposed to be a bolt going through there to hold on a cleaner, and it's missing that. So it's a good starter planter. Anyway, well, we had the 494 as a starter planter. This is a good starter no-till planter. I don't know if I'll need row cleaners or not for it, based on what I want to do. That's going to be a tricky issue, because they don't really make row cleaners for these. They didn't come with them. This was like generation 1 no-till from what I understand, so it has a lot of conventional planter still in it with like modification to be no-till. So, because from what I can tell, there's really no difference back here from a no-till to a conventional style planter. That seems all to be the same, because they would have down pressure springs and everything. Probably the only difference is there's a coulter there, and it's got a 8-wave coulter in it that does like a 2-inch strip, and that's probably what really set it apart from a regular corn planter, because that's the same gauge or the same closing wheel that a regular corn planter would have. So really they did one thing different, as far as without looking at one side by side. You know, I haven't looked at too many that were conventional, because I've wanted a no-till. So, but should be able to get everything I need through Shoop. One of the concerns that I have about this planter is the fertilizer units, if they'll penetrate the ground or not. I mean, I did some looking, and that was on their no-till planters, and they had some different style marker arms too. They had what was called a no-till marker, and it was actually mounted on a spring, and I figured that was for like a conventional corn planter, because I looked at a few that had that spring on it. I'm like, well, that doesn't seem like it would penetrate well, and I figured these would work better. But yeah, we got a corn planter, so I don't want to ramble too much. It's my second time making the video because I rambled a lot the first time. So this is a short little introduction to the White 5100, and look for videos to come about it, because there'll be a few of them for sure. Taking it apart, putting it back together, and updating it for what we need to do. And I was going to have a video of getting it in the barn, because this is like 12 and a half, 13 foot wide, and the door's 12 foot wide. And that turned into like an hour-long video of me running back and forth, and just not a good video. So I hope getting this thing out is going to be easy. It should be, because part of the problem was the row units. I was fighting the row units and the fertilizer boxes running my geometry through the door. And it might get a little bit narrower. I got to do some talking with some people, because I've heard of guys cutting the frames and moving the markers in, but that might run into an issue of mounting a splitter to it, and I don't want to take that away from the corn planter. So I have a contact for my corn planter questions. So the book explains of what you'd have to do to run for 30-inch rows without modifying the markers, and we'll see. We'll see when we get that far. But anyways, hope you guys enjoy what is in store with the corn planter, and we'll catch you on the next one.